everybody. Welcome to episode 1 of the brand new Two Peas in a Podcast. We are so excited to do this and we're so excited to be here. It's going to be awesome. Let us start by introducing ourselves so we know who the hell we are. My name is Katie Oman, so hi.
And my name is Jessica Collier. Hey.
Hey. We are besties for life. We've been best friends for 11 years now?
Maybe even longer.
Wow, time does fly when we're having fun, apparently. But we thought we would start with introducing ourselves on this episode 1, so you know who we are, how we met, and what this is all going to be about. So, as I'm talking, I may as well go first. So, settle yourselves in and have a little listen. So, as I say, I'm Katie. I'm in the UK. And I'm a mum of 3, and I am a multi-passionate, self-employed businesswoman. I have lots of strings to my bow, as Jess will tell you. There is nothing this girl cannot do. I am an author of 9 books to date, 2 currently being written in process. Yes, I am. I am a book coach where I help people to write and publish their own books, 22 so far and counting. Oh yes. I'm also a women's empowerment coach, a tarot reader, event organizer, motivational speaker, all-round fabulous human being. So essentially that is me. I do lots of things, I have lots of strings, but it all keeps me out of trouble and smiling and vibing high. So that's essentially who I am. So Jess, you go, your turn. Introduce yourself to the world.
She's quite humble, y'all. My name is Jessica, and I am Katie's bestie, as we already know. And beyond that, I am a single mother myself. I have 2 lovely children. I have a girl and a boy, and I am a business owner. I just opened up my own shop, which is a Hone Offerings. And that's where I basically sell esoteric things and jewelry that I've made myself, which I'm really excited about. I'm also a tarot reader. I have a pretty successful tarot channel on YouTube called The Moody Tarot, where I cater to Gemini's needs. I am indeed a Gemini, and so I read for the Gemini Collective. I'm also a certified life coach, so I've done that quite a bit. And I'm just, an all-around person.
All-around person. I love that. Aren't we all a work in progress?
Working on it, people.
Yes. So, look, this podcast is going to be a mishmash of lots of different things. Jess and I, as you can probably tell, have lots of different interests, lots of different things that we can talk about, and we both like to talk. Jess is a Gemini, I am a Libra, both air signs, we both like chatting our heads off. So we're going to talk and go places, we're going to talk about lots of different things. You had some ideas, Jess, didn't you, about things we could talk about, I think?
Yes, I have so many ideas. So first of all, I really want to touch on like a lot of spiritual stuff, paranormal stuff. I like to get deep. I like to talk about deep things. So maybe, our life purpose or path, how we view life while we're here, all of those things. Astrology, women's empowerment, being single, shadow work.
Being a mom, because we have lots of children between us.
Childhood trauma. I have lots of that too. So thanks, Mom and Dad. Well, you gave me lots of material for the future. I appreciate that. Just anything and everything is pretty much what we're going to talk about on this podcast, and I'm super excited.
Absolutely.
The thing that I'm not to cut you off, but the thing that I'm most excited about is that while we have a lot of things in common, we actually have a lot of things that are different about us too. Mm-hmm. And those differences in our friendship have really pulled us together versus pushed us apart. We're both very respectful of each other's opinion. We don't mind saying what's on our mind and pushing back a little bit. And so this should be quite interesting. It should be very interesting. I can't wait till we get into our first heated discussion.
We don't tend to fall out there. I think in 11 years we've had probably
our relationship shall be tested.
We've had 2 close disagreements in 11 years, so I think we're going pretty well. I think we're doing pretty good. But yes,
she's not lying about that too. We have had literally 2 disagreements.
So we're doing quite well, I think. What's really interesting about our friendship, which is the thing that people can never get their heads around, is that we've never actually met in person yet, which is crazy. Like, how can you be best friends for 11 years and you've never met each other? Well, like I say, I'm in the UK, Jess is in Florida in the US, and it just hasn't happened yet. But we literally talk every single day. We have to. We cannot cope if we don't talk to each other, as we know, right?
Yes, we talk every single day, and I don't have to have you right next to me to be in my heart, which is how, yes, I know. Super sweet. But no, we talk every day, guys. And, some people don't really understand that kind of connection or communication. But this girl right here is my rock. She has been there through everything in the last over a decade that I've been through in my life, which has been a lot. It's been a lot.
True. But
You
you've been
deserve a medal.
You've been
Or
the same
therapy.
Right? We've been through, we've been through breaks up, we've been through childbirth, we've been through starting our own businesses, we've been through house moves, we've been through crazy men relationship stuff, we've been through children driving us insane, we've been through a lot, right?
We've been through losing people, especially on my end, like through, people passing away, been through me, letting go of some of my addictions, which we'll talk about in future episodes. We've just been through a lot. There was actually even a period in our relationship where we just didn't talk for like a year, I think it was. It was right around the time that I had gotten into a relationship with old what's his face, and then had my son. No offense to him, he's fine. Okay, he's absolutely fine. I just don't want to mention any names or do any of that stuff.
We're not going to mention people's names because we don't want to get ourselves sued in this place. So yeah.
And actually, that time apart, I find that distance sometimes helps in connections.
Sure, absolutely.
And there's one thing too that we've always talked about in our relationship, which I think is important to bring out, is that not everybody knows what it's like to have a true best friend.
No.
Just like some people have that fairy tale romance and marriage. Obviously, neither one of us have experienced that yet. There's still hope, okay? But not everybody has experienced a true friendship either. And so I feel blessed to have that in my life.
Me too.
Honestly.
Me too. Aside from my children and my mom, you are the love of my life. Oh, everyone's gonna be like,
yeah, they can sail away, as I say on my channel.
So we need to start with how we got started, because that is a story in and of itself, right? Because okay, so we're not going to mention anyone's names. We're going to kind of very generically talk about this. So Jess and I met on a Facebook group 11 years ago, would you believe, which is kind of mad. And it was a spiritual Facebook group where we were able to give free readings, psychic and tarot readings, to people who were looking for guidance. And for me, I was quite a baby tarot reader at that point. Although it was 2014, I'd still only been doing it for a few years. So it was a really good learning experience. Was it the same for you, Jess? How long had you been reading at that point?
If you remember correctly, I had not been reading tarot. You were actually the one that motivated me into trying tarot in the first place. I was just psychic energy, just purely intuitive hits. And then, of course, in that Facebook group, we were reading off of pictures.
Yes, absolutely. And it was a lot. It was really good, learning ground. Lots of people in the group had a really good energy. Everyone was kind of respectful. You always get your odd one or two that were kind of not so great, but for the most part, it was good. However, again, we're not going to mention any names, but the person who was in charge of it did not have the best energy, as we came to find out. They said all the right things initially, I think, and got us on board individually. We did not know each other before this at all. No. And there were other readers in the group as well. And yeah, it just became abundantly clear relatively quickly that they were not the person that they claimed themselves to be. Do you agree?
Yeah. Yes, I agree. And that was a really important lesson for me, because I too was a baby, what I would consider a baby psychic. How sometimes with religion and spirituality, you think that because somebody believes in a certain thing, that means that they're good and they're pure and they're honest and they mean what they say. And, you would think that having come from actual, quote unquote, real life, you would know that people are manipulators, and that goes in any kind of group, any kind of category. But I really did have like rose colored lenses on when it came to spirituality and spiritual people.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So not only was that experience awesome because I got to meet you, but it actually really taught me a valuable lesson that not everybody that's spiritual is necessarily good.
Yeah, exactly. It was like basically that person was in it for their own fame and money, and so they were
Yeah.
not in it for the right intentions. And
Yeah.
I, for one, I mean, I got twins who are going to be 13 in June. It's crazy. But when at that point they were 2, I think. Yeah, they were
Mhm.
2. So my hands, and I was a full-time mom. The children, because it's twins, didn't go to daycare. So I literally was a stay-at-home mom for 4 years. So I'm trying to do this Facebook free reading learning group thing
Yeah.
and take care of my twins. And this person who was running it, the thing that got me was they were messaging me telling me that I wasn't showing up enough, I had to be on more. And I was like trying to do the best I could, but I felt very pressurized, and the joy of it kind of went for me.
Yeah. And for me, it felt really like critical and judgmental a little bit
Mm.
because there was like, you had to do like tryouts and people were like tearing your gifts apart. And I was just like, I don't really even know what I'm doing. I'm just getting these intuitive messages. I'm just developing this within myself. And for you guys to be really hard on me and tell me that I'm doing this wrong, I'm doing that wrong, I don't know. It's like it became a little too much.
Yeah.
And then plus we had developed this friendship. I remember very vividly the moment that you reached out to me. I was reading somebody's photo, and in the comment section, you reached out to me because you were a moderator. I was like a literal nobody in this group at this point, and you were a moderator, and you had reached out to me and you said, I see something really special in you. I would like you to become a moderator or one of our readers. I was like, okay. So I had to go through the whole tryout process to make sure I was really psychic and all of that stuff. And yeah, that's when I became a reader slash, I don't know if it was a moderator, but it was a reader for sure. And that was like really the beginning and developing of our friendship because then we started talking on the side.
Yeah.
And my whole thing is, and I don't know if this is because I'm a Libra rising and a Sagittarius moon and
Mm.
a Cancer Venus, and all of these things scream protectiveness and justice and what's good, what's right and what's wrong. I didn't like how you were being treated. I didn't like how I was being treated. And when I care about somebody, I tend to stand up for them. So when
Yeah.
I was seeing how you were being kind of bullied and pushed around, it just really didn't sit right with me.
Yeah.
And that was
Absolutely.
that was like kind of the beginning of the end for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And then like basically I messaged you and I was like, thinking of leaving. You were like, oh, if you're going, I'm going. So we eventually left on the same day.
Yep, I remember it was so cheesy, y'all. Okay? It was so cheesy. I remember in the chat literally being like, if Katie goes, I go. And I was like out.
We were out. And that was it. Because it would have been easy then to kind of go, okay, well, we're kind of friends, but not really. But we were like, actually, what brought us together was our gossiping and bitchiness about them. Which probably isn't the best high vibe. But hey, we have to start somewhere.
Listen, I don't even know if it's truly gossip, if it's true.
Well, fair. But hey,
If you
whatever
want me
works.
to, no. Okay, because if you want me to show up and talk about you in a certain way, you show up in a certain way. I don't go out here and exaggerate or embellish or say anything that's not true. So if you don't want to come off in a negative way, maybe you should work on yourself.
Yeah, true. And then you kind of think, once you go through that process and you've exposed to somebody with those like wolf in sheep's clothing, really, you kind of go, oh, okay, I'm not going to be fooled again. I'm not going to be taken in by a spiritual person again. I'm going to know. I'm going to see the red flags. I'm going to know. She's laughing
Sure.
because we both have been tricked many times since.
I was about to say, sure, Jan. Sure.
Pretty interesting. I don't know about you, Jess, but it's like, because now, especially on social media, there are more coaches, readers, healers than ever, which is wonderful, fair. But again, not everybody is in it for the right reasons, right? I remember once when because we don't read for each other really very often because we're too close, right? We see what we want to see. So I was looking for a reading, and actually paid money for this woman to read for me, and she literally, I can't remember what deck it was now. I've got about 30 decks behind the camera. She got a tarot deck that I have, and she literally copied word for word that was in the little guidebook that came with it.
Yeah.
That was my reading. And I was just like,
yeah,
it's hard.
It is hard. And, tarot is something that in the world today, I feel like is really oversaturated.
I agree.
And I love that there's this coming into oneself and everybody feeling like empowered to be who they are and be in their authentic self. And the things that maybe once were considered taboo, people are more open to looking at. And I think that's great. But know your strengths and know your weaknesses. And yeah, I mean, I have gotten some readings before that just have not been great. I mean, I've had a reading recently because I don't get them very often either. Yeah. And you know which one I'm talking about, where it left me completely hopeless and like gutted because she was just so negative. And I was just like, wow, okay. And then didn't even do anything in the end to try to like give me hope, lift me up, give me advice, what I can do, anything. Like, you know what I mean? And it was just, but you know what? Those kind of moments really make me want to be a better reader. Like it makes me want to not ever leave somebody feeling like that. So, because sometimes when you do readings, it's not always the best messages. Like sometimes you're not going to give people what they want to hear,
Absolutely. Absolutely, it's the way it's delivered, right? And that's why with me, when I moved from being a tarot reader into being a coach, because I realized that I was essentially coaching people through the reading. So whenever a more challenging card came up, we would talk about it and I would give them benefit of my experience. So I was like, oh God, I'm coaching here, right? This is just like a natural move for me. But a lot of people don't do that. Just like, yeah, he's cheating on you and, he's been screwing around and, oh, well, okay, have a nice life. Bye. And you're like,
so I'll go find the nearest bridge then, right? To throw myself off of. Thanks a lot for that one,
Honestly, you haven't got to look far. If you look on YouTube or any like TikTok or any kind of, honestly, God, you do not have to look far to find readers like that. Seriously.
No, and it's and I hate to kind of be. This has turned into a very juicy conversation that I wasn't expecting. Everybody is at their own part of their journey. And I feel like some people, and this is why I talk about this on my channel. I talk about this with clients. We've talked about this. You have to know the voice of your shepherd.
Yes.
What guides you? What are you connecting with when you pick up these cards? Because if you're not connecting with anything and it's purely about, because I have like 50 decks too, if it's purely about what the cards are saying and it's not about what you're feeling, it's not about what the message that's coming through from something higher than yourself, I find that it is going to be more about hustling, pushing them through, getting the money, and less about actually helping people. Yeah. So that is the kind of intention that I go into with my readings, is listening to the voice of my shepherd, which is spirit, and trying to deliver what spirit wants me to, basically.
I love that. I really like that. I've never heard that before. That is so cool. And I think it's a really good message. Whatever we're connecting to intuitively, it's kind of going, where is this coming from? What's my intention? Because sometimes, and also, I know about you, one of the big questions I've had doing the work that I do is, how can I tell the difference between my intuition and my ego? Yes. Huge question. And typically I would say to people very generically, well, your ego is always based in fear. 100% of the time, and it's loud, and it does get rich quick schemes. So it'll go, try this, try this, try this, try this, and it just looks on pettiness, envy, jealousy, revenge. It's just like, it feels like a victim. It's totally centered, and it's like, this is not fair kind of energy. So anything around that is coming from the ego, which is here. Your intuition is a lot quieter. That's why people struggle to hear it, but it's always based in love. And it's very much like, take this step. No, I told you, take this step. no, take this step. And it won't show you the next step until you've taken that one, right? So
Right.
it takes practice though, because like I say, the ego is so loud, right?
I find that that's completely accurate. And for me with the ego, how I know, because I mean, we're all human and we can still make egoic choices and be in our ego and all that. I find for me it's like a panicky type of
Mm,
feeling.
yeah,
Whereas the intuition is just calm. And it's like, even if it's telling me things sometimes that I don't necessarily want to hear, because sometimes your intuition is telling you, you know, you got to go the other way, or you got to stop this, or you have to change this, or what it's time to rise up and accept the whatever. But it's always calm and it's not like a panicked, like, anxiety feeling. So yeah, I would agree with that completely.
yeah. And then we get into rebellious teenager mode of going, I don't want to.
Yeah. Well, that's because you have what you envision for yourself, and then we have what it is actually possibly good for you,
Yeah,
right? Or what is maybe, or maybe it could even be the fact that something is uncomfortable. When
yeah,
it's uncomfortable, we tend to, as humans, creatures of habit, we tend to want to sink into our comfort zone.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But yeah, it's fascinating. And like I say, the more that we see psychics, readers, healers, I mean, like I say, it's wonderful that this thing is out in the open, but at the same time, you can recognize the challenges. Everything has a good side and a bad side, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I was thinking about this the other day. I came out of the spiritual closet not long before we met, actually,
Yeah.
because I awakened in 2010. Yeah. And, but I was like, it was almost like my little shameful secret. I mean, talk about a witch wound, right? It was like, I was a hustle, but I didn't really kind of publicly talk about it. And then, I told you the story. My eldest son was going to school one day and he was friends with twins, funnily enough. And the little boy was a little bit cheeky, shall we say, because it's, we're PG in this podcast. He was a bit cheeky and he came up to me really loud and went, "My mummy says you're a witch." Now I go, "Yeah, I am." Do you know what I mean? But back then I was like bright red, really embarrassed, just kind of tried to laugh it off as I do. And I got home and I was like, "What am I doing? Like, why am I ashamed about this? Why am I, what is there to be ashamed about, So
Yeah.
put a post on Facebook that was about this long, where I literally came out of the spiritual closet and said everything that I do, everything I believe in, posted it, turned my phone off, put it in a drawer, and left the house.
Yeah.
It wasn't enough just to post
Yeah.
it. Oh, no. It wasn't enough to turn the phone off. No. I had to hide the phone and leave because I was so scared of what people were going to say.
Yeah.
And yet when I came back like an hour later, I was all like, But yeah, but people were either me too or I don't agree with you, but I respect your beliefs. And that panic and that fear was like, oh, what the hell was I worried about?
Yeah. And I find that to be so frustrating with the spiritual community. People who don't understand, they don't take the time to understand anything that's different. They put some kind of negative, like, identity on it. So if you're spiritual, you read tarot, I don't know, whatever. You like to talk to trees in the woods, like you're instantly like a witch, which there's nothing wrong with witches. To
Nope.
each their own. Everything for me is intention. What is
Yeah.
your intention when you're doing this? That's it. But not everybody is. And for that fallback to be, well, my mom says you're a witch. It's like, well, you know, okay, what do you want me to do with that? But it's a little kid and kids are like that anyways. But I feel like that's a really pivotal moment for you because it was like almost, I say this a lot, what we're internalizing often will show up in the physical. It'll
Yeah.
manifest itself in the physical for us to actually deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
You were struggling over, am I this, am I that? I don't know what I am. I don't know what's going on. So you have this manifestation in the physical of this little
Yeah.
kid being like, you're a witch. And you're like, I am. you know? just grab the kid and kiss him. Thank you. Right? Go on.
No, maybe not. It's funny because hundreds of years ago, you and I would be considered witches doing the work that we do, right?
I would have been considered a witch because I'm predominantly left-handed, Katie. It was due I
Oh,
was from the start pretty much. So yeah.
fair. Talking to spirits and bringing healing and divination. Oh yeah, we'd be like burnt at the stake for sure, right? It'd be like,
Having,
forget about it.
having an attitude.
Us having attitude.
Back to a man.
We never have attitude. I know what she's talking about. She's so rude.
Being stubborn.
When did you come out the spiritual closet then? Did I ever ask you that question?
No, I don't think so. To be honest, I don't know if there was ever a moment that I like stood up and said, "This is me now," because I've always been kind of the odd one out in my family and around people. So when I started kind of just getting into like, psychic stuff, tarot stuff, it wasn't really considered such a big deal with my parents because everybody in my family has some kind of psychic ability. Everybody does. The only difference here with me was that I was actually like putting some effort into it and actually like, developing it and doing something with it. But my mom has always been psychic. My aunts have always been psychic. My grandma, even my brother has mediumship skills. So it's just kind of like, we know that this stuff exists. We know that paranormal stuff exists in my family. We know that the psychic gifts exist. So thankfully I never really had to do with that. Now, as far as like people go in the world, people have never really I feel like people are very black and white with me. They either love me or they don't. Like there's never really this in between. So I'm kind of used to people kind of not seeing my vision or being on my side or whatever anyways in a lot of ways. But as far as like to your original question, coming out of the spiritual closet, I just kind of just showed up. And maybe that was it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Maybe that was it. It was just like, oh, this is me now. And then it never stopped. Because I'm telling you, I've had a lot of this is me now moments in my life. Like this is me. This is not a phase. This is who I am. And then this has just really truly been who I am.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great. And it's very, I think, I always say this to you, and I know like you and I kind of give each other compliments and love all the time, which is lovely. But genuinely, I am always blown away by how accurate you are. You are so spot on with everything you say, to the point like I can watch a Gemini reading, and I am not a Gemini, and can be like, holy hell, like I can take this, even just watching the video. It's insane.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And while we're giving compliments out, I find that your guidance is very spot on. Like you're able to lift people up out of a place of uncertainty, and that is valuable. That is extremely valuable.
Thanks, babe. Thanks, babe.
Yeah. These people are gonna be like, y'all need a room.
Yeah, I know. We probably, to be fair, no, we're good. We're good. We just, like I say, it's been a long journey. We've been many ups and downs, many twists and turns. We've seen each other at our best and our worst. We've seen each other. We've been crying and screaming and swearing and shouting and all of that. But it's been a journey, and it's not over yet, kid. Not by a long stretch.
Yeah, no, I know, and that's the important part too, is like seeing each other at our worst, because anybody can put on their best face and anybody can show up on their best self, but it's when you can be accepting and express that unconditional love of, it doesn't matter if you come up in your best day or your worst day, I'm still going to accept you, I'm still going to love you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine some of the reactions you've had with messages I've sent, like where I've just been like, I don't know, I don't want to say it because we're trying not to cuss, but the F word just completely like,
I can get like a 2-minute voice note message from Jess, and probably about a good 60% of it we cannot talk about on this podcast. It's all profanity and curse words, and I just hold space because that's what she needs right now.
Yes.
Like I say, we go through things, right? And that, I had a client once last year, and she went, "Oh, I'd love to be a coach like you, but I'm going through stuff." Yeah, me too.
That's training.
Show me a coach, therapist, healer, reader that isn't going through something, right?
No, it's really interesting too when people think that you have to be like fixed or perfect or completely like whole to be able to help people. And it's really something that stuck with me when I went through my life coaching courses and training and everything was the instructor said, as long as you've been able to pull yourself out of the pit at least one time you've been able to lift yourself up, pick yourself up, and carry on, then you can help other people do the same.
100%.
And I find, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, anybody that tells you that they are healed and they've done all the work and they've got all the answers, run from that person. They are a narcissist. They are completely lying to you and themselves. Run as far as you can. Run from that person.
Yes, because nobody is complete. If you were healed and perfect, you wouldn't need to be here.
Exactly. Right.
There would be nothing for you to experience. There would be nothing for you to grow, nothing for you to, fix or resolve when it comes to karma or any of that stuff. You would just be literally on the other side, possibly being a spirit guide or an ascended master, right?
Exactly.
Like you wouldn't be here in human mode, learning and experiencing. So yes, and that's one thing that I have with my whole, just the work that I do. I try to be extremely vulnerable. I try to show up as exactly who I am. I mean, I've gotten angry on my channel. I've cried on my channel. I've told people about some of my darkest like things where, because I wasn't always a good person. Like we evolve and we grow. And I think that vulnerability and that transparency is so important when you're helping people, because how are people going to know that they can trust you or they can take what you're saying if they can't relate with you?
Yeah, exactly. And it's not about making it about you. If somebody shares something with you and you're like, oh yeah, I know, blah blah blah, and you're not holding space for them, but it's saying that like, I have empathy, I resonate because X, Y, and Z, and it's important, I think, to show that we are complex, flawed people. It doesn't matter if we're out here helping people, we're still people. And you know what I say about that? Nobody's on a pedestal. We're all just next to each other on the table of life.
Yeah. And that's where you get into trouble, when you put people on a pedestal and you get into that energy of comparison, because social media, this kind of stuff right here, podcasts, things like this, people put their best foot forward.
Yeah.
And so you have to realize that everybody's going through their own struggle. Everybody feels lost. Everybody feels confused. And that's why I've been really practicing lately, just in my own life, in my own personal life, radical acceptance that leads to radical forgiveness.
I love that.
Because you can really like step into victim mode and be like, well, this person hurt me, this person did that, this person did this. But at the end of the day, people are just people.
Yeah.
And you have to either accept them where they're at or not. But either way, they're going to be where they're at.
But you can't change people. Even with the best will and intention in the world, you cannot change anybody. The only person you can work on and fix is yourself.
Exactly. And through that, you'll manifest people that are more in alignment with you.
Absolutely. If you spend your time trying to fix other people and make them better or make them happy, it's like trying to run a marathon in a rocking chair. You're going to be knackered and you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah. And see, and that's something that actually, and I'm sure you'll agree with this. This is something here that empaths, healers, light workers have to learn. Your light does not belong to anybody. Nobody is deserving of your light. You are not here to heal people.
Yep.
You are here to heal yourself, and through that, show other people and maybe help guide other people into healing themselves.
100%. I love that.
Yeah. And so, that's where we can get in trouble sometimes, when we have low boundaries, which I could write a book. I could write a manifesto, Katie. I could write a damn dictionary and encyclopedia on low boundaries. Okay. But that's the problem that you come into, because you're like, oh, well, I'm here to save, I'm here to heal, I'm here to do, and it's that external validation that you're actually seeking. So yeah, when you're first getting started out with any kind of healing work, any kind of anything, coaching, counseling, whatever, even if it's not spiritual, it could be just, you're a counselor, you're a therapist, you're a psychologist. It's not your job to fix anybody. People have to show up.
It's also, I remember how many times you told me, Katie, you're slipping into Captain Save-A-Home mode again, because I'm like, I have to save everybody. And you're like, why are you the only coach in the world? Why is it your job to save everybody? And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I want to.
Yeah. Because it's admirable when you want to put yourself out there and you want to help people and you want to see people get better. But it's like that analogy, or is it a metaphor? I don't know the exact difference between the two, but you probably do. It doesn't matter. It's that saying that happens where people are like, you can have somebody out there drowning, and if they don't want to be saved, they're kicking against you, they're not trying to swim, they're not trying to help, they will bring you down with them.
100%.
So when you are going out there to help somebody that is drowning, they need to show up too.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
important that they show up, that they want to the help, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't save someone that isn't willing to save themselves.
Yeah.
Doesn't
And
matter
that's
how.
I've actually come to a level of acceptance with that is fine.
Yeah.
Everybody is on their own path. Everybody's on
Mhm.
their own journey. Maybe their soul wants to suffer a little bit. Maybe their soul wants to really feel it, or maybe they want to experience what it's like to be in the victim energy. I don't know. That's not for me to decipher or try to figure out. The point is that I could extend my hand. If the hand is not extended back, it just
Yeah,
is what it is.
exactly. Oh, I think this podcast is going to be good, babe, honestly.
I know. I'm so excited about this. I'm particularly excited about the next episode, people, which we will give you guys a sneak peek of that. It's going to be dreams.
So, I mean, Jess calls me the dream interpreter because I wouldn't say that I'm the oracle, but I know bits and bobs that I picked up along the way. So, what I will say, if you have a dream that you want us to kind of look at and kind of decipher for you, then please put it in the comments and we'll have a look and see. I can't promise that we'll get to them all, but certainly if there are like reoccurring themes and motifs and stuff, we can definitely look at that. That'd be really interesting, right?
Yeah, and I think on the next episode, just to give kind of like a preview, what are dreams? Are they just subconscious whatever that is your mind's finally getting a chance to process because you're not distracted anymore? And then some of our dreams that we've had that really
Ooh.
have, because sometimes you forget dreams like as soon as you wake up, and then there's other dreams that stick with you for the rest of your life that you'll never forget.
Yes, I have 3 that are like clear as day. Like I can, they're
Nice.
almost like a memory in my head that actually I experienced.
I'm so looking forward to this.
I know
Like,
it's
I
going to be
really,
epic.
really am, because I have a couple too. I want to say maybe like 1 or 2 that I'll share, but yeah, it's going to be interesting, and I think that this is going to be fun, and I'm just looking forward to just. It's nice because even though we talk like literally after we get off of here, we'll probably message each other. But still, it's just nice to talk like this because we really never do.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and we can get into different topics, like I say, and different things, and we want you guys to be a part of it. I wish you can tell Jess and I can talk for days, but if you're going to watch this podcast and be part of this journey, then we want you to obviously just say comments, questions, whatever you want, as long as it's not too horrible. We'll deal with it.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. There's always limits. There's always boundaries, but
Exactly.
we'll try to push the boundaries gently.
Very gently. Well, look, I think that'll do for our first introductory episode. So, Jess, I love you to the moon and back, and this is going to be epic. And to everybody who's watched, thank you. And we hope that you continue on this journey with us.
Yes, it was lovely. This was so much fun, and I look forward to feedback from anybody in the future and watching this grow.
Yes, absolutely. Who knows where it will go? We're open and we're just going on a journey, so it's going to be cool.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, big love to everybody and big love to you, babe. And we will definitely see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye. Bye.